Okay, hello and welcome to our Quarantine to Clear and Obvious podcast.
We're back.
We are indeed. And as you can see and hear, we're going to be interrupting each other quite a lot, more than usual.
So much.
We are prone to it in person, but on call it's going to be even worse, I fear. So,
Class.
yeah, some awkward pauses as well. It's all the fun of Zoom though, really, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
it's going to be good fun. But, I mean, what are we going to hit him with today, Sam?
We're going to be talking about what the league should do. I mean, some have cancelled, some have null and voided. And we're just going to give our opinions on what league should do concerning the coronavirus and how they should play it after this pandemic.
Indeed, yes. We are acting as the government bodies for each league. We are taking the power. The power is in our hands, like Paddy McGuinness when he gives it to the single man. We're giving him the power. That's not the analogy we were after. A minute in. There we go. So yes, we are putting that power into the hands of us two, and we are acting as the government bodies, and we're going to decide what to do with the leagues, basically. We obviously Liga has been decided, as some of the other leagues around Europe. So we're going to go through those as well. But we're going to kick things off as we're in England, and as we're both fans of Premier. Oh no, hang on. No, as I'm a fan of a Premier League club and you're a fan of a Championship club, we'll go through the Premier League first. And
Terrible.
yeah, Project Restart is what they're naming it. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they'll do whatever makes them the money.
Yeah, that seems to be what they're prioritising at the minute. So the clubs were asked basically to consider the concept of playing in sealed neutral venues. Broadcasters have been told that they need to work out a minimum numbers of staff that they need at matches. They're trying to restart games. The date that they've tried to outline is the 13th of June. But it'll all depend really on the clubs being able to create a return to play protocol that's accepted by the government and health advisors, and then they can begin to return. And yeah, it's. Do you like the idea of neutral venues? Or?
Nah, I agree with. I think a member high up at Brighton, one of their high up staff, was saying that and I agree that it just kind of ruins the. I don't know. It just you need to stay in your home grounds, in my opinion. Why you need to cherish where you play. It's your unique stadium. It's just your place, you know.
Yeah. Would you not want to rush it back, try and get through the season as quickly as possible, no matter where it's played? So the reason they've picked these grounds is because they're not close to residential venues and they're spread across the country. Would you not try and rush it back and get football playing regardless of where it is, or do you think they should prioritise playing at the home grounds?
I think they should prioritise. I don't think they should rush it back. I think they should play the season, but I think they need to make sure that everyone, the health of everyone, is prioritised.
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't mind this idea of the neutral grounds, to be honest with you. As long as it does, basically, as long as they're doing it and it's been approved by the government. If it's been approved by the government and they're going back, I'm not too fussed what format, because I'm just at the point where I want football back. Whatever format we can get it in, especially the Premier League, I think, if they can come back through this sterile route, as they've put it, they'd have people in hotels, they'd be making them all tested. But I mean, it'd be tricky to do, but if it's doable, I reckon it's probably the best way, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I get your point, but it'd just be so strange, seeing Liverpool not play at Anfield, or just some clubs not play at their normal home grounds. It would just be, and then Liverpool fans would look back in history and just be such a weird time.
Yeah, but they'd also, I guess it's either that, or they wait even further, or they're awarded the title. So either way, however they end up winning the league, it's going to be looked upon as, that was a little bit weird that season, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, that's true.
So yeah, obviously they're sat at the minute 25 points clear of Manchester City. And you were saying about how unlucky Sheffield United would be. Do you want to just run us through that?
Yeah, so Sheffield United are seventh in the league. They are 2 points off Man United in fifth, and they haven't got they've got a game in hand on them, and if they won that, they'd go into fifth. They'd go 2 points off Chelsea in fourth, which is mad, and it would secure Sheffield Europa League football without having to go through like playoffs and stuff. So if the season, for example, is finished with these league positions, it would be unfortunate for sides like that who have had, let's be honest, a superb season. Not many people thought they'd finish anywhere but dead last.
God no.
Right, honestly, they were written off, and they've had such an amazing season. So, but the fact that they couldn't, they were so close. This was probably the best chance they're going to have for years, and it be taken away because of the Premier League just decision. I just think it'd be unfair.
Yeah, it definitely would be. And I think it's more unfair with the Premier League, as we'll go on to discuss the Ligue 1, because there are more teams that haven't played the same amount of games. So every team's either on 28 or 29 games. But the fact that they haven't played the same amount of games, whatever they decide to do, if it doesn't involve them playing, is unfair. Like whatever they decide to do, basically from here, you can't please everyone. What the Premier League needs to try and work out is how they can please the most people. And I think getting football back as quickly as possible so the teams are still in some sort of routine and they don't completely shove it back further into summer and then start disrupting, international tournaments and all this sort of thing. I think that's probably the best thing, just to try and get football back. On another note as well, we'd be done the dirty a little bit because we're a point behind Spurs and we've got a game in hand on them. So, that is clearly all that matters, not Sheffield United getting into the European spots or Watford not getting relegated and all this sort of thing. Because as you say, I mean, Bournemouth are on the same amount of points as Watford and West Ham. And they're a goal off of Watford on goal difference. But they by logic would go down at the minute.
Yeah. Well, it'd be even more unfair on Aston Villa, who have a game in hand, who are literally like 3 points, 2 points of safety.
Yeah.
And at the moment they'd be going down, which is just unfair.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that they should relegate the bottom two of the Premier League and then take up the top two of the Championship.
No,
Sam,
I disagree.
in your Fulham shirt, what do you think of that?
Nah, that's a disgrace. I think that's a terrible proposition, and that really the bottom three needs to be relegated, and the top three of the Championship needs to go up. I think it's the only fair way.
Top
really.
three, despite the top three places in the Championship not being automatic. Sam, would you go?
Yeah, but we're 4 points in front of the team behind us, so
It's a win and a draw. Not that far. You make 4 points sound like 14 points, mate. You're not as far as you think.
Okay, but at the same time, we're 7 points off Leeds, who are top, and we're 6 points off West Brom in second, and we catch them in like 9 games.
Yeah, I'm just teasing. That shouldn't happen. Although it'd be quite funny if I did, just to see a reaction. To be honest with you, so Premier League verdict. What do you think the Premier League should do?
I think they should carry on without risking the safety of anyone. But if they can't carry on, null and voided.
Null and void, just
yeah.
What, and then go off last season's results?
Yeah.
You know what? I can back that, because if we go off last season's results, we're getting Champions League. And if we get Champions League after finishing 9th this season, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Because we'd have been...
I think...
We'd have been behind Man City and they'd have been wiped out of Champions League because of financial fair play, hopefully. So, I'm taking it.
Exactly. But, like, if you think about if the season can't be continued, it's just those teams who have games in hand. It's just unfair on them, really.
Yeah.
And the Premier League will end up with, like, loads of... like, because people will, like, go to court about it.
Well, that's shown. Yeah.
Exactly. And so the Premier League are going to have to face law battles. So I think the only fair way is just to null and void it. And then for Champions League and for Europa League, just go off last season's results.
Okay. I mean, because I thought the current position we're in is that the idea of completely null and voiding the season was almost wiped out of any sort of thought, because now they're talking about a flat line of people, not a flat line, that's awful, the flattening of the curve of people dying from the coronavirus and people catching it. Um, it,
Yeah.
there's little talk about the season being completely null and voided like it has been in the Netherlands, as we're going to talk about. So I think that would be a brilliant option in terms of me. If I'm a fan, I want that to happen just so we get the Champions League. But that's a selfish view in reality. I genuinely think the best thing that they can do is get football back as soon as they can, but in the safest way possible. And if the safest way is to play at a neutral ground, then that's that. I think we've got to put aside the fact that we want them to play at their home grounds, and it'd be weird because this whole season's weird. Everything about this is
Yeah.
weird. So I think just adding to it won't change an awful lot, really.
I agree. As I said, I think that they should try and get the season started if they can in the safest way possible. But then if they can't do that, I feel like avoiding is what they're gonna have to do. Even though it does look increasingly likely, as you said, that the season will probably be restarted.
Yeah. Well, as I say, yeah, no, 13th of June is the day that they've earmarked. So that'd send us, again, well into summer. But, I mean, if they're going to get it back on, they've got to get it back on, don't they? So,
Yeah.
okay, so we're saying, agreeing with what they're currently doing, get it back as soon as possible, but in a safe manner. And if that needs to be in neutral grounds, then so be it.
Yeah, I mean, try and avoid it, but at the same time, for example, teams like Tottenham and Villa have like given their ground and facilities to NHS
Yeah,
nurses
Brighton
and
did the same, yeah.
pe- yeah, people working on the front line, and they can't just go halfway through the pandemic and just go, right, we're kicking you out, all right?
To be fair, on the on the contrary, they have had to shut that London Nightingale hospital they built because there's less and less cases now. So I think
Yeah,
the grounds are being used a little bit less, and the majority of it's going through training grounds, or at least it was. But yeah, don't kick out the NHS for football. Let's just get our priorities set. We're not saying kick out the NHS, right?
yeah,
We'd like to clear that much up. But yeah, just do it so
yeah,
it's safe, but try and get it back, basically, because we miss football.
yeah, definitely.
All right. Where should we go? Where should we go next, Sam? This is up to you. Would you like to go La Liga?
Yeah, sure. Let's go to Liga.
Okay, so a little bit of an update on what's happening over there. So they obviously had it really bad at the start, but there's starting to be some sort of lockdown measures at the minute. So people are going out, but in different age groups at different times of the day. Their Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said that he expects the La Liga to resume soon, but also behind closed doors after the government gave permission for training to restart from today. The allowance of individual training sessions is part of phase 0, which sounds like a very interesting part of the phase. And it's apparently the preparatory phase. And yeah, their training sessions at club centres will be allowed, and they're expected to get underway after May the 11th. And then there's been no date for actually returning to actual fixtures, but they're saying, the rumours are they're saying mid-June. And looking at the La Liga table, obviously you've got Barcelona and Real Madrid at the top. Barca are ahead by 2 points. They're ahead of Real Madrid. Relegation battle-wise, it'd be a bit harsh on Mallorca, who are a point off. Poor little Mallorca. And actually Leganés, who are 3 points off. And Espanyol, really, who are 6 points off. So I think the message should really be the same with La Liga, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. However, I feel like they should definitely get it restarted, or like try and get it restarted while looking after the. At the same time, I feel like it's different to the Premier League because unlike the Premier League where there's people have games in hand, this league there are no games in hand, so
Yeah.
everyone's on the same amount of games played. So I feel like for that league, it would be more logical if the games can't be played to possibly just go off this season's results.
Do it on a points per game basis, like we did with the Liga? Because that
Yeah,
basically
I'd say
brings out the
so.
same results, but it doesn't say that
Yeah,
they're ending it as it is. It basically is the same thing, though.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that probably makes sense. That mean Atletico missing out on Champions League. They'd go straight into the
Crazy.
Europa League at 6th. Valencia would miss out on any sort of European football. Getafe would get into the Europa League with Real Sociedad and their young core of Alexander Isak, Odegaard, Januzaj all getting into the Champions League somehow. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Sevilla, the Europa League merchants, also getting into there. So yeah, no, it'd be interesting if they were to end it now. But then again, if they were to start it again, because it was hit so hard at the start, and Spain as a whole does have quite an aging population, they've got to be a little bit more cautious about it, just because of how quickly it spread at the beginning. But I guess they've
Yeah.
got a couple of teams off of islands, so maybe they could. Imagine I'll tell you what, they could play their games on each of the Canary Islands. I reckon there's enough. There's got to be what? Okay, so there's 10. There's 20 teams, so there'd be 10 stadiums that they'd realistically need. I reckon they could go off the Canary Islands, or go off Tenerife and all of that sort of thing, Gran Canaria, just to limit it. Put 2 teams on each island, and then put 2 teams on the mainland. I reckon they could do that.
I mean, put your proposal forward to the Spanish FA.
I'll hit Pedro Sanchez, the Prime Minister, in his DMs later. We'll have a little chat about that.
I don't really think it's realistic because you're going to have lots of teams travelling to begin with, like every week.
Yeah, it would be quite unrealistic, to be fair. But
Yes.
I'd back it. I think it'd be quite a cool idea. I don't know. I'd probably not, to be honest. But there we go.
Okay.
So for La Liga, we're saying similar to the Premier League, except for it's less of a detriment if you don't have to restart it.
Yes.
Yep. Big thumbs up. Cool. You lagged a little bit, so I just took you with a fat thumbs up and just waited for you to do that. Should we go on to the Bundesliga? Do you want to give us a little update on what's happening over there?
Yeah, so in the Bundesliga, it's similar to a lot of the leagues. They keep pushing back the start date. It's very clear that they want to resume, but yeah, they keep pushing back the date they're going to start the season further and further back. I think they've done that 3 times. I might be wrong, but yeah, they're obviously very keen to get restarted, and there they've got. To fair, it's very similar to La Liga. Only 2 teams really have got games in hand, and that's Werder Bremen in 17th, and they can't. They are not 3 points away. No, well they can if the rest of the games are played.
Oh yeah, of course.
Their game in hand. Fortuna Düsseldorf are 4 points in front. So if they win their games in hand, then they won't move. And then the other team is Frankfurt, and yeah, they're not going to move into Europa League, and they're not going to get relegated. So again, it's not really going to affect the Bundesliga that much. And I feel like it's like the Spanish league, but Germany haven't necessarily had it as hard as Spain.
Yeah, well, they had to re-lock down, didn't they? Because they tried to go back a little bit early.
Yeah, which is quite naive, but I feel like try and get football back, try and play the rest of the games. But if you can't do that, null and voiding, I don't feel is that necessary. I mean, as someone who's fond of Dortmund, I'd feel quite sad because Dortmund are 4 points off Bayern Munich in first. It's very close. No. Okay, brilliant. But yeah, 4 points off Bayern Munich in first, who I feel like Dortmund could realistically catch. However, they could just, if they were going to end the season and feel like they couldn't play their games, I feel like they could just leave the results they are this season.
Yeah. I mean, because it seems like to me that Germany were kind of the first nation to try and even think about getting football back on. Because I seem to remember way back in early April, they were talking about trying to get games back behind closed doors. they seem like they were sort of leading the way on that front. I mean, Angela Merkel had to sort of step in and go, no, stop. And then she's going to make a decision basically on if and when sports activities can resume. And that's going to be taken on Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see, because she's been quite cautious about getting anything back into place in terms of sport. The rest of society sort of went back to normal quite early. But yeah, in terms of how it would affect the table, obviously, as you say, Dortmund are only 4 points off. But with nine, they've got 9 games remaining basically. But the DFL, they've come out and said that they need the season to be completed by the 30th of June because of deals they've got with sponsors of broadcasters. And it might just be me being naive here, but shouldn't that kind of take a bit of a back seat at the minute?
I mean, sponsors are always just gonna, wherever the money is, they'll follow. I mean, they need to. I guess at the end of the day, for them, it's a business, and you're not gonna lose money just so that. I know it sounds harsh, but just so that I don't know how to explain it, but they're not gonna lose that money for like no reason.
Yeah, it is in their vested interest to get it back on for sure. You're right. I thought you'd frozen and then your head started bobbing.
I thought you'd frozen, so I kept nodding my head.
As you can see, the chemistry's a bit rusty at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they also said the German Minister for Sport, I believe, also came out and said that there's a realistic chance that some of the top flight teams could genuinely go into administration if they don't get it started fairly quickly, which is why they've got such a vested interest in getting sponsors back. Getting back playing so they can get sponsors back involved. So yeah, it will be interesting to see, but I guess with the Bundesliga, it's just trying to get it back on because they seem to be the country that was sort of leading the way, but not too quickly like they did with the rest of society, and don't just put everyone's lives in danger, basically.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're basically UN peacekeepers at this point. We're doing quite well, I think. We are
doing amazing.
Nations. Right. Okay. Should we go on to the Serie A?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So they've been quite cautious. So their sports minister Vincenzo Spadafora said it's too early to even talk about Italian football season restarting. Serie A clubs have been given permission to restart individual training sessions like a lot of the countries have from training grounds today. But team training won't be allowed until the 18th of May at the earliest. And yeah, they both the Italian Football Federation and the Serie A want to complete the season. And I'll go into more detail as to why. But it's not been yet decided whether from the government that they can do so or not. And for me, with the Serie A, so it's quite a financially unstable league as it is anyway, aside from the top few teams. And that's largely down to the lack of attendance that they get and the high running costs of the league. And when you're in a position when you've got 3 or 4 teams or loads of teams that are going for Europe and that are of a high enough quality, and you've got Ronaldo in the league, that's massive because you can't really. If they null and void, I think null and voiding the league is a complete no-go for Syria because they have to null and void a season where they had Ronaldo in. That would just reflect so badly on them because you look back in the history books and go, "Oh, Ronaldo, he did nothing in that season." Of course, you know why, but it's like this whole season. There's finally been a title challenge, which is probably the first time. Well, okay, Napoli posed a title challenge in 2017, but aside from that, in the last 8 years, it's been Juventus that have been dominating Italian football. And suddenly Lazio predominantly, and now Inter a little bit as well, are challenging them. Inter have made some massive signings. Lazio have got Immobile's like top scorer in Europe, and Juventus have got Ronaldo. They've got such marquee players. Sorry, I rambled. Carry on.
Inter have made some marquee signings.
Yeah.
They've brought in Victor Moses, Ashley Young. I mean, these are just incredible players. But
you left out
challenges.
You left out the 2 big ones, though. You left out Lukaku and Eriksen, who are 2 marquee signings.
And Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah. Okay. Point being, for Italian football, they're big signings. If it was any other league,
I agree.
No one would describe Ashley Young as a marquee signing because he's 35 and washed up. But it's Serie A, so we can get away with it. if
He
Everton did it,
suits the Syria.
pardon?
He suits the Syria.
He does. He suits it perfectly because he's a slow aging wing back, and he's basically like an English Candraver at this point. That's
Exactly.
pretty much him. Um, but yeah, as it would stand, Juventus would win or be awarded the title, and they said they wouldn't fancy that. Lazio will come second, Inter third, and Atalanta rounding up the Champions League spots. Then Roma and Napoli get Europa League, with Milan missing out by 3 points. Then relegated to be Lecce, your beloved Spal, and Brescia. Seems fair enough to me. But if when you look at it like that, that seems fair enough to me. But if you haven't actually finished all the games in a season, that doesn't seem the most fair way to look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, if I was Spal, I'd send a lawsuit. I mean, they've such a good chance of staying up. I mean, it's incredible. They're they're a whole 8 points from safety. They're so close.
So close, but
But
yeah,
they're
they're,
going to do
they're
it.
staying up. So the ones I'd feel most sorry for if they were to null and void the season and not relegate or promote anyone would be Benevento, because they're leading the Serie B by like something ridiculous, like 15 points or like 20 points, and they got Pippo Inzaghi as their manager, and they've been doing really well. But yeah, if they weren't to get promoted, that'd be pretty criminal. So
Yeah.
out of the big leagues that haven't decided yet, or do you want to run through the AFL?
I mean, sure. I'll mainly stick to the championship, but yeah, it's a complicated one for the EFL because you have a lot of relegation and promotions to deal with. This season, the EFL have also said they're also a club in Bury, which is a disgrace. To be quite honest, that the FA let a club of that size who'd been in the EFL in there for 125 years.
Sorry,
Definitely just.
I'm just thinking you have definitely just done our essay. You've 100.
I've
You've just done Mark's essay.
I've literally just written an essay on this subject. But yeah, it's a disgrace. But yeah, it's if they null and void the season, or even if they can't finish the games, a lot of clubs are in trouble. And a lot of clubs, even if they do finish the games, are in. I think clubs could be in more trouble if they finish the games without any fans, because so many clubs rely on ticket revenue to stay afloat. And if they're playing games and have to pay their staff while there's no ticket revenue, a lot of clubs could face financial trouble. And a lot of clubs are in financial trouble anyway because the EFL are done. So it's just there's a lot of things that they need to consider in the EFL to whether it should like be null and voided, whether they should carry on, and yeah, it's very hard for like clubs with not much money.
Yeah, because when you're clubs that rely so heavily on ticket revenue and you're not going to be getting ticket revenue, they are going to suffer. Sorry, that just made me laugh because you made such an eloquent point, and then you went, and that's why the EFL are dumb. that was good. Yeah, they are. They haven't dealt with it in the best way. But
Yeah.
it is given the benefit of the doubt, it's not the easiest situation. It's not like they're dealing with one club in financial crisis with Bury. They're dealing with a whole host of them.
No, I agree. I mean, they haven't necessarily been dumb in this situation, but they're just a lot of other situations that they've had. They should have acted in a different way, let's say, or they should have done things different.
Okay. So is that everything that you want to go through on a championship front?
A championship and EFL front, yeah, and that Fulham should just go automatically promoted.
Yeah, that is a point I'm sure is agreed by absolutely no one other than Fulham fans, because I don't really want to see you back in the Premier League.
Why?
Because you messed it up so badly when you came back up. You spent like 100 million and you had like one of the worst transfer windows in human history, and then you just got shot straight back down with a massive wage bill.
To be fair, we got relegated in such an exciting way. We had like Andre Schürrle. We had this Seri lad who was wanted by Barcelona. Ryan Babel was tearing up the Premier League for half the season he was here. I mean, admittedly, we were woeful most of the time, and that Callum Chambers, who was on loan, was like our best player, and we put him to CDM. But It was such an exciting relegation, not for Fulham fans, but I'm sure for everyone else to
Oh,
watch.
you were a fun team to watch because you couldn't defend at all, and you'd actually you were quite exciting. Yeah, you made Callum Chambers look like Franco Baresi. You really did. Callum Chambers carried you to any sort of respectability that season. It was quite funny.
He was incredible. Him and Mitro just carrying us all season.
Yeah, some things don't change, eh? Anyway, shall we go on to the leagues that have already decided and what that could mean for the other leagues? So basically, they're going to try and follow suit in what the rest of Europe's done because that's sort of the way things work in life. So should we start off with the big one, which is Liga?
Yeah.
Paris Saint-Germain, they've been awarded the Liga title. Shock horror. No, it was announced. It was announced that the season wouldn't resume because of the coronavirus pandemic. There were 12 points clear at the top of the table, the game in hand, when it was suspended indefinitely in March. And earlier last week they called for the season to be cancelled. And there are two teams that have appealed the decision to finalise the season early. Amiens, which I get. They're one of the two teams. Them and Toulouse. You can hear a Lyon rant coming, can't you? And yeah, they're to be fair, they could have stayed up if the rest of the games were played. If it wouldn't have been easy, but they could have certainly done it. The other team to have complained and filed a lawsuit against Liga and Lyon. Just for reference, so the table as it stood was Paris Saint-Germain, Marseille, Rennes, they built up the Champions League spots, and then Lille, they got the fourth Europa League spot. And then you're thinking, okay, well, if Lyon are filing a lawsuit against Liga and they're complaining, they must be pretty darn close to a European qualification place. Well, Sam, this would be where you're wrong, because they're not fifth, neither are they sixth, but in fact, Lyon sit seventh, level on points, with two other teams behind them, Montpellier and Monaco, and Strasbourg, who are only 2 points away from them, and have a game in hand on them, who could have gone further above them. Lyon sit 9 points away from the Europa League spot, and they're filing a lawsuit because the season hasn't been finished. I mean, 9 points off. Sorry, where's that come from? Why do they think they've got the right to? They're a big club, fine. But, I mean, okay, Monaco could argue they're a big club. Nice could argue they're a big club. Montpellier could argue. Even Rennes could. Anyone could. They could all argue this, and suddenly the Liga would have some sort of flood of lawsuits. To me, it just seems like a salty team who thought they might have a decent run at the end of the season and are annoyed that they're not getting it. I've got my rant out of the way. What do you have to say about it?
I actually think that Lyon are complaining because I think they're only 1 point off Europe. Because in the French league, if both of the cup winners qualify for Europe through league position, then fifth and sixth placed will qualify for the Europa League.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
Crack on, Leon. Crack on with your lawsuits.
Absolute nightmare.
Carry on with that rant, and then
I'm not gonna lie. Well, you were ranting, and I was looking it up.
I was thinking that was a bit bizarre, you know. I was thinking, why are they bringing through a lawsuit? Because they're 9 points off. But yeah, that makes a bit more sense now, actually. Oh dear.
Yeah, they're 1 point off. Yeah.
Seems fair then.
I love an awkward pause.
Leon, crack on. Yeah, you do you. File your lawsuits. Yeah. Well,
you've lost all composure.
I lost my cool a bit there at you lads, and I do apologise. Moussa Dembele, I'm very sorry.
What a guy! What a guy!
What a guy! Yeah. Who's their manager at the minute?
No idea.
I'll have a look. I think it's quite a big name, the manager at the minute. Do you want to fill the time by talking about the rest of the Liga?
Yeah, the rest of the Liga are just like, interesting, really. No, I'm joking. It's been
Rudy Garcia. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sam stops talking, Archie interrupts. Brilliant.
Yeah, no, he used to be Marseille and Roma manager. There you go. Sorry, I completely forgot. You can carry on with
Yeah.
Liga if you like.
Yeah, no, it's interesting really with the lawsuits and that. Monaco have had a bad season. If it's finished now, because they finished ninth. Well, that's if
They're on the same amount of
Strasbourg
points as
don't win
Leon,
their.
so.
Oh yeah. Well.
Right. Basically, no one come to us for French League knowledge.
Yeah. Oh my goodness me.
We've had a bit of a shocker there. Yeah, bit of a cup shocker there, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically with Liga, they are so obviously every team other than Paris Saint-Germain and Strasbourg have played the same amount of games. So finishing the league, to me, if they don't want to risk it, seems completely fine. Paris Saint-Germain were 12 points clear. The Europa League spots, obviously, as we've discussed, now we know, were closer than they thought. Amiens, they should feel fairly hard done by because Toulouse were dead and buried. They've only won 3 games this season out of 28. So they're not very good by all accounts. They in fact finished dead bottom. They were never going to finish, but Amiens have a claim to make, I think. But the rest of the teams, nothing could have really changed with Strasbourg. Paris Saint-Germain probably would have beaten them and gone further into the lead. So ending the Liga season doesn't seem like the biggest crime against football.
Strasbourg, actually, if they won their game, could have got Europe.
They could have, yeah. I've just seen that. I was hoping you wouldn't bring it up. Yep. Actually, an update. Yeah, just coming to me now. Strasbourg could have gone to Europe if they'd have won that place. So won that game.
Yeah.
So it's a rusty one. It's our first podcast back after a good couple of months, and it's over Zoom.
Yeah.
So give us the benefit of the doubt, please.
Archie can't do maths.
Yeah, that's what we've discussed. I've got a 5 at GCSE, so I'm quite pleased with that. Which is
Same,
like
5.
high C, low B, So
Yeah, no, that was my highest GCSE grade. Yeah.
hey,
I'm smart.
that's good. Anyway, shall we head over to the other? Okay, should we go on to the other league quickly? The other 2 leagues that have, let's just quickly discuss the Pro League because they're a little bit all over the place. The Belgian Pro League. They announced on Sunday that they postponed for the 3rd time a meeting which will decide whether or not to end the season because of the pandemic. Back in early April, they decided, we're going to finish it. Club Bruges, I think it's Club Bruges. Please be right. Please be right. Yep, Club Bruges. You're going to win the title. We are going to win the title. To be fair, they are a good 15 points ahead. Just you can hear the cogs turning. And yeah, no, they recommended that it be the April the 2nd. That on April the 2nd that the season had been declared over, but it's been since been overruled, and they've gone back and they've basically gone, actually, you haven't won the title. We're going to have a load of other meetings, be really indecisive, and not actually come up with any sort of decision for the league. It seems a bit weird, doesn't it?
I mean, they need to just kind of make up their mind. I mean, they need to come to a decision and just kind of, if they made that decision, they should have stuck to it. They should just stick to their guns and should have been like, right, that's what we've decided. Stop complaining, just shut up.
Yeah, seems fair. I mean, yeah, because that's sort of what Ligue 1 did, didn't they? They were just like,
Exactly.
we're just going to finish it. Fine. In terms of positions, unless, again, I'm wrong, which I might be, so I'm not even going to discuss it, other than Club Brugge would have been champions. Also, a little side note, Anderlecht were having a pretty terrible season by all accounts. I remember they were ruining all of my accumulators because I thought they were quite good because they're a company now. Turns out they're not. They finished 8th out of 16, dead mid-table with company, which is pretty poor, to be honest with you.
Well, he wasn't their manager for all the season. I remember halfway through the season, or like actually quite early into the season, he resigned from managerial duties so he could concentrate on his playing.
Yeah,
career.
I thought even though with him as a player, like he'd have been pretty good, and he might still be quite good for their division, but I don't know. I haven't
Probably
seen
carried them.
Yeah, I haven't seen an awful lot of Anderlecht this year. I hold my hands up. I haven't watched much of the Belgian Pro League. All right, I'm very sorry. I know it's disgraceful. But yeah, that's they basically said that the clubs are mostly in favour of doing their original decision So basically, they've stretched out the last month for little reason, other than the Belgium National Security Council, who they are awaiting advice on to make a decision, basically. So that's the Belgian Pro League. Should we end on the Eredivisie pretty quickly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure. So I think so. They basically cancelled the Eredivisie season. They null and voided everything. They null and voided all of the whole league. So no one's getting relegated and no one's going up, as far as I'm aware. And that seems a little bit harsh because this season was one of the first seasons where there was a genuine title challenge in Holland, because Alkmaar had played really well. They were only behind Ajax at the top of the table on goal difference, and they could have really pushed them to the end of the season. Ajax were in shaky form. They lost 2 of the last 5. And Alkmaar were genuinely pushing them. So ending this season was actually more of a detriment than it seems on the face of it. It's probably, I mean, Pardrew left anyway, but it's probably saved any sort of reputation he might have had out in Holland, because he'd managed to drag Ardo Den Haag down to 17th, 1 place off bottom and into the relegation playoff places. But thankfully for them, the league's been called off. A couple of the teams have been calling for a 20 team league to be created, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It just looks like that's it. He said it's a bitter day for Dutch football. That's what the head of the said. So yeah.
Well, apparently the Holland League might do a little switcheroony, like the Belgian Pro League. Yeah, the Daily Mail reporting that the Eredivisie could reverse the decision to cancel the season after lots of clubs have threatened legal action.
Yeah, it makes sense, especially when you're a small league like that, because you can't really have big clubs like Ajax, Feyenoord and Alkmaar going after you with lawsuits. I don't think they could survive that, to be honest with you. Yeah, no, going back would make an awful lot more sense. But yeah, we'll see how it all goes. But cancelling the league prematurely at the time didn't seem like a bad idea, because I didn't think we were going to get in football for a while. But it seems like everyone's sort of inherently sped up this process of returning to normal life, and it all seems like the norm.
Yeah, I feel like it would be more unfair on in the second division, Canberra. So they're top of the league and 11 points clear. So if the season, like them null and voiding the season, it just means that they stay in their division despite them having like a brilliant season and like to get promoted. So I know that they've threatened legal action because of it, and a lot of other clubs have as well.
It makes sense, wouldn't it? But yeah, I mean, If you're a club and you're in the second division particularly, and you're a dead cert to be promoted and have a lot of financial gain through going up to the Eredivisie, you would naturally just go after them with all the lawyers you've got. So it would be of detriment to the Eredivisie to just finish the league there and then. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the major leagues. Anything you wanted to add?
Not really. Just that the leagues need to consider people's health before financial gain and getting the football back.
Yeah, that should be the message, shouldn't it? So yeah, there you go. There is our roundup of what we think the league should do. We're both staying safe. We're both self-isolating. How's your self-isolation been so far, Sam? What have you been doing to keep busy?
Well, I've had loads of work doing.
Oh, really?
So I've just been doing so much work, which has been really boring. But then when I haven't been doing that, I've just been on my PlayStation. We ordered a tennis table about a month ago, and that's still not here. So cool. Did
you order it off Wish or something?
No, we ordered it off Sports Direct. Mike Ashley. That's all I'm saying. He's stealing our money.
There you go. Yeah, he's trying to get his deal through, isn't he, to sell Newcastle? So I can hardly blame him for prioritising that over your ping pong table. But yeah, okay. Well, we're all staying safe. What would be your one piece of lockdown advice, Sam? Give one message to the people as we sign off from this lockdown episode of a Clear and Obvious podcast.
I am not a good person to give advice, because I've just been living the lifestyle I probably should be living by eating lots of food and just playing a lot of PlayStation. But yeah, Pardon?
Have you been happy?
Yeah.
Sorry, this turned into a
Yeah.
counselling session quite quickly. Just give us your
Yeah.
advice before it gets too deep.
Yeah. Just you definitely utilize your 1 bit of exercise a day. Do go for a run, just clear your head. If you've got a garden, then just remember how lucky you are to have a garden, because a lot of people just don't have like anything. So, and will have to leave the house and just like they don't have their safe like outdoor space. So just like remember how lucky you are, and yeah, just kind of stay safe. Just follow the government regulations.
That was a very long message, but one we can all get behind, I'm sure. Thank you, Sam. Thank you for joining me from the comfort of your own home.
That's
And
okay.
yeah, that's it, everyone. Hopefully, we'll be back with some more juicy content, maybe some more bite-sized content. Who knows? We don't. So
We don't.
I have no idea. So anyway, yeah, stay safe in lockdown, everyone. Thank you for watching or listening, and yeah, stay safe.
See you later, guys.